And your daughter, you used to tape her mouth.
I still do.
Now I can't even cut my kid's hair. Like the other night, 2 days ago, I have to go in when my son Caden's sleeping to cut his hair. And literally I go in with the shears and I shear until he sticks his hands on his head and he starts complaining because he was not compliant normally.
Yes.
So how would I get a kid like that to breathe through his nose?
You have to do it yourself.
Okay.
So what I was doing is, like, I've been taping my mouth ever since. I stayed in a hotel last night and I taped my mouth up. And we use a particular different tape with children. We don't want to cover the lips with the child. So we have a tape and we're still kind of in the design of it. It will be called McKeown tape. And basically it's a tape that's stretchable that goes around the mouth.
Okay.
So I have to confess, like, we have been getting children and my own daughter, and we've been using tape.
Okay, what kind of tape is that?
This tape is just, this is just out from a local chemist.
Okay.
So it's micropore tape.
Okay.
And we fold a tab either side. You pick this up for about £2 or $2 or whatever.
Okay, micropore
paper tape. It's hypoallergenic.
So tab either side, okay.
You dry your lips.
I'm gonna do this tonight. And boom. And I definitely gotta get one of these on my wife, especially when she wants to complain. So just like that, bam.
Yes. Now, it can take a little bit of getting used to. It's not just about getting somebody. Now, if the person has nasal obstruction, I'll show you the exercise to help open up the nose.
Okay.
So, what I would say is, just for the first couple of days, really start breathing through your nose during the day.
Okay.
To make sure you're comfortable with breathing through your nose. I just don't want to tape somebody willy-nilly. Like when somebody comes into us, we teach them the breathing exercises to get their breathing restored.
Right.
And then it's easier to wear the tape, because if you don't change your breathing patterns, if you put on the tape, you could feel totally suffocated. Now, you'll probably just end up ripping it off, so it's fine. So coming back to my daughter, when she was 3, and the reason that I was doing it is because I know that if she continues mouth breathing, and she has my genetics, which are not good in terms of the craniofacial element. Okay. She had a very high, narrow palate. She's a small airway. She's a narrow mouth. She's missing one tooth. She's got tooth-agenesis. So I know her airway is something that we really have to work with. And I was having her taped when she was 3 years of age, but I had her in the bed beside me. And I have to confess, I didn't get a night's sleep because I was conscious of her breathing through the entire time. Now, we've kept with it. She's 9 years of age now. And she sees it as absolutely natural. And the difference is, if you're sleeping with your mouth open, you're not getting that quality of sleep. You can get all of the quantity in the world, but it's really about getting the quality. And waking up alert, like to wake up at say 5 o'clock in the morning, and you have the capacity to concentrate, to hold your attention, and to read complex material. That's a good night's sleep. Not somebody who wakes up in the morning and 2-3 cups of coffee later, they're just starting to recover. And also it's about the resilience that if your sleep is good during the day, you have the resilience to do whatever you need. If your sleep is good during sleep, you have the resilience to do whatever you need during the day. So we've thousands of people taping up. With the children was always that one thing. I was always concerned, and we had different ways of bringing the tape underneath the chin, and just because we want to restore nasal breathing. So hopefully we've been testing it now for the last 3 to 4 months, and we'll have it out in the next few weeks.
Why don't you want to tape their lips, the children?
Just if there was a risk of a child vomiting during sleep.
Okay, right.
And if they had the tape on.
Right.
So, there's always that. And, of course, we want to adopt nasal breathing, but we want to do it safely.
Right.
And that's why if you were to get a tape around, and the tape that we use now is going to be elasticated. So it's elasticated, and there's a tension that when you place it around the mouth, the tension is bringing the lips together. But the child can still talk. And the child, say, for instance, because sometimes I'd be getting frustrated with the kids that come into me. I do all of the exercise to open up their nose. I'd have them taped up in the class. They're running. They're doing everything with their mouths closed. We're having them doing lateral expansion, functional breathing, all of that, breath holding, everything. Child walks in a week later, mouth is hanging open. Okay, we'll do it again. Go through everything again. Talk to children about the importance of nasal breathing. You look intelligent. For teenagers coming in, I tell them to go Google mouth breather. In any country you go to in the world, Just put mouth breather into Google and see what it puts back at you. And it tells you you're a stupid person. Now, so I'm trying to motivate the kids from a sports point of view, from a sleep point of view, from a looks point of view. A child that grows up breathing through the nose, that they have correct craniofacial development, they're not just functionally better, but they also will have attractive face. And it is not like straight teeth. People often talk about orthodontics. Straight teeth do not make a good-looking face. But a good-looking face, which is developed the way nature intended it to develop, will ensure that teeth will be straight. When the face develops correctly, the teeth are straight because the tongue is resting in the roof of the mouth, and it's the tongue, by being the scaffold of the jaws, by driving the jaws forward, by opening up the airway. This airway is the size of your thumb. We have no room for air. And I'm coming back to my nose. The tongue has got two places to be. It's either in the roof of the mouth or it's falling into the throat. Now, when we have the mouth open, our tongue is on the floor of the mouth, and as a result then, the tongue is more likely to impede the airway. And even just by having the lips together, breathing through the nose, but the tongue on the roof of the mouth, you're helping to maximize the airway. So if you were going for a run, if you're going to sleep, during the rest, during the day, always those three things. Nasal breathing, tongue resting in the correct resting posture, and of course nasal breathing with diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay. Now, why is mouth breather always considered like a Neanderthal term in people's cultures? Why is it?
Probably because historically individuals who were mouth breathing, they were mentally challenged. And I think that was the first kind of cohort that individuals, if they had a mental disability, they didn't have the cognitive ability to be breathing through their nose. And I don't mean that as an insult to anybody who may have a learning, a disability. It's just, I think that's how society first looked at mouth breathing. That you were mentally challenged if you had your mouth open. But now mouth breathing has become the norm. And I remember Dr. Christian Guilleminault, and sadly he passed a few months ago. He was at a conference in Bordeaux, and he was talking there, and I was talking about breathing. It was a sleep congress. And he says, we need engineers. He said, we need dentists. We need architects. We need the professions. We're not going to get these professions because these kids, their brains are fried. That's his terminology. I've also seen him at other sleep congresses. And bear in mind, he is often considered the father of sleep medicine. And I've seen all doctors talking about this theory, that theory, everything complex. And I've seen him stand up in the audience. And you could have 500 people, 500 medical doctors there. And he'll talk. You've missed everything except the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is the importance of nasal breathing. And for us in sleep and for us with breathing, this was one of the absolute eye-opening aspects that we had. You couldn't have had a better person. And he's written papers about it, which I can send on to you. And when you're going through these papers, this is where the attention is happening. So it's starting to happen in science. The science is catching up what we've been seeing on the ground. So I think it's really cool.